Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance. In this resistance video, sponsored by contribution from Treasure Travel again, and here's our story. Hi, Ollie. Thank you for your ability to see the big picture and your keen eye for the nuances of narcissism and family dynamics. The following letter describes an event when I was 26 years old. I am now 53. It is a paradigm of my mom's need to try to ruin all the major events in my life. Infantilization is also a glaring theme that runs through this story. Lockstone. When I was 26 years old, I was scheduled to attend a scientific meeting in the town of Lockstone in the state where my parents live. This was a very important meeting for me because I was one of the speakers and would be presenting the major project of my graduate science thesis. My professor, Sylvia, was always very cheap and was so delighted when I said I was paying for my plane tickets rather than asking reimbursement out of one of her science grants, since I was combining the meeting trip with a short visit to my parents. I have previously discussed a bit about Sylvia in my NPD bipolar borderline graduate advisor. Anyway, my parents lived about an hour and a half from the town of Lockstone. I told them on the phone that I was flying into their town on Wednesday evening to see them and needed to get to Lockstone on Saturday. If you're depending on them for anything like this, like they know they got you. See, the narcissist looks for opportunities where you're going to be vulnerable. It don't matter how well you tell them when you're coming, what you're planning with them, they are going to fuck you. They are going to fuck you some way. That's just what they do. And especially when you're trapped, like you're flying in, that means you're going to do anything to make yourself dependent on seeing them, or like they're going to fuck with you every time. I told him that the meeting center had a shuttle bus that went from the city airport to Lockstone on Saturday, and that I would have to reserve a place on the bus to have them take me back to the airport on Saturday. That's the wrong thing, because they will figure out how to fuck you over. The instructions were very specific and said that all bus reservations had to be a week prior. Let me guess. He agreed to do it and then didn't agree to do it and then called you a liar. Said it never happened. Let's see. My dad told me they would drive me to Lockstone, no problem, and we could all have dinner there. There was nothing ambiguous or tentative about these plans. Therefore, I did not reserve a place on the bus. It did not really occur to me that other option would be for me to rent a car, but that was because I was very poor and could not afford such. A taxi all the way to Lockstone would have also been out of my price range after I had used up all my savings to buy the airline ticket. Uber didn't exist back then. Anyway, I arrived and what appeared to be a nice short visit with my mom, dad, and sister, who was 28 at the time and lives near my parents. On Saturday morning, however, my parents' moods become very dark, and here it comes. Out of nowhere, all of a sudden you could see it in their faces. You could see it. Shit, here it comes. My mom told me that snow flurries were predicted that day, so they could not drive to my meeting. Aren't you out in like the Midwest where it snows all the time anyway? I mean, isn't that where you are? Where it snows all the time anyway? Sorry. Sorry about that. You're living out where it snows anyway. Like snow flurries? Really? She was agitated and annoyed that I needed to get there. Because, listen, no matter what you're doing, it's not important. They don't take it seriously. And they're going to turn around and they're going to turn this all around on you and make this your fault somehow, right? Right? Is that where this is going? Right? Because they want what they want. And any opportunity to have you stuck in a place, they're going to do it. My dad said I needed to take the bus and they would take me back to the airport to catch the bus, even though you already said you have to reserve the bus ahead of time. I explained to him my concern that it was too late to get a seat on the bus, as the instructions were clear about that, and I reminded him that I told him the bus deadline when we talked on the phone last week. At any rate, I called the bus scheduling phone number and nobody answered. My dad insisted I give him the number so he could call. There it is. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. Like, because they want what they want. What he thinks. He's going to fucking will it to happen unless he hears it himself. Because he's such a narcissistic, selfish fucking baby. Because they realize they can't just leave you. You would hope. I don't know if he thought I was lying. Yes, when he said I said there was nobody taking calls and that at that number anymore. If he thought they would answer if he had the angry narc royal patriarch was on the other end. Still no answer. I again explained to my parents that the meeting instructions said nobody could reserve a place on the bus after Wednesday, and my mother looked at me with contempt and yelled, "You're so selfish." Fuck off. So there it is. There, like, you can see it coming. I saw it coming. You give them specific instructions and how you depend on them for something, they're gonna fuck you. Every fucking time. And then what, turn it around? Both of them needed to make it my fault. I told her that I did not do anything wrong. I would gladly reserve the bus, but Dad said he would take me. Now they were acting like that conversation never took place and that I was a selfish person who had presumed that they would drive me. I could not believe that they were acting like I had done something wrong and had not coordinated the trip with them. I did not know the term gaslighting back then. Basically, they decided they did not want to drive there, so morphed into raging, angry beings who rewrote the narrative to be that I was lying, presumptuous, and selfish person. At this point, I had no way to get there. My sweet and dear sister said, "I'll take you." But my mom started shouting at her, saying that was ridiculous and how silly of her to think she was a good enough driver to drive into the mountains in snow. My histrionic mother acted like this was a Donner Party situation. My mom said she forbid my sister to take me, and my sister slinked into the background and out of the way of the drama. My sister was the scapegoat in the family and knew her place and never challenged them. I want to make it clear that there was no snow on the ground and the forecast was for a bit of snow and not for a major storm. My furious dad said, "All right, we will take you." And the two of them proceeded to stomp around and yell for the next couple hours before it was time to leave. My sister was also going because we were going to carry out the original plan of going out to dinner in Lockstone. Don't ask me the fuck why. Me, my mom, and my sister stood in the driveway while my father backed the car out of the garage, and my mom took the opportunity to scowl at me and yell that I was unbelievably selfish and how dare I anger my father. I'm going to punch her right in the fucking face. I told her again that is not what happened. We got in the car and my sister and I sat in silence in the back seat, glancing at each other nervously like we did when we were little kids. It was definitely a triggering flashback moment to the many, many times that she and I sat in the back seat in silence as little frightened kids with the raging narc parents in the front seat. I whispered to my sister that I would never ever again put myself in this position now that I was an adult. My dad was red with steam coming out of his ears the whole drive, and when a little bit of traffic developed, he shouted, "God damn it, it's gonna be the ride from hell now. Now it's about getting his pound of flesh." Of what he agreed to. My mother reached over and touched his shoulder to soothe him. Understand that she is the primary reason he was so worked up in the first place, and then she acts as she's the one who's so calming. And said in this fake sweet voice, "It's not that bad, Joe." And he yelled at her, "It's not moving, Joanne, damn it. Do you not see that traffic is not moving?" My mom pointed out that it was starting to snow. Basically, it was fluttering of swirling snowflakes, but nothing major and no accumulation on the ground. I'm getting triggered writing this story, and I regret I cannot convey the words, the extent of my parents' hatred, agitation, and scorn towards me because of this situation. I can't describe to you how worked up they both were over nothing. Because they're working each other up on purpose. They're just looking to get supply. Oh, good. 2 hours of trapped supply in the car. I wish I could put you all in the moment, as then you would understand the anguish of my whole childhood. We made it to Lockstone and went to a restaurant where we all ate in silence, engulfed in the Greek tragedy-style drama. Then my parents insisted on escorting me up to my assigned room. I knew I had several roommates, so I knocked on the door and a guy answered. The room was a suite with a central living space, a room on either side. My mom said out loud incredulously, "You have a boy roommate? Why is there a boy in your room?" I'm 26 and that's a man. Fuck off." I told her it was a suite, hugged them both and said goodbye and shut the door and leaned my back against it, taking a deep breath and released that they were gone and I can concentrate on my science. I felt extreme pity for my sister who had to sit in the back seat on the drive back, still engulfed in shit. I had a great time for the 2.5 days at the meeting and my talk went great. My sister picked me up and we had lunch and discussed how awful mom and dad acted and how we understood that our mom was batshit crazy. Concerning the drive back from Lockstone with my parents, my sister told me the snow picked up a bit, but was minimal and did not affect the drive at all. Despite the fact that it did not snow enough to affect the drive to or from Lockstone, my mother talked about this trip for years afterward, emphasizing the point that I was selfish and they were right for not wanting to drive in inclement weather. You fucking cunt. This is what they do. This is what they do. This is why she did it. So she could have this story to go on for years. So she can, after what I've done for you. That is a big word she likes to use, inclement. She insinuated that I was too stupid to understand the seriousness of the situation of them having to drive in the mountains in inclement weather. Well, it barely snowed, so there was no situation. But that aside, if it had been snowy and inclement and dangerous, it makes me wonder why they would want their daughter on a school bus rather than a 4-wheel drive vehicle. It kind of told me everything I already knew about them and their out of sight, out of mind attitude toward me after I moved out of state to graduate school. As hard as graduate school was, the move out of state from this insanity saved my fucking sanity. Okay, a major thing I want everyone to notice here is that my mom orchestrated this drama to try to ruin a special event in my life. Make no mistake, she wanted to rattle the hell out of me before I was to give a major talk. Another thing at play here was my mom's need to ramp up her bullying of me on the last day of my visit with them. And your mom's jealous. You're going to graduate school and she's trying to sabotage it. She's trying to make it like, even though you're going to graduate school, you're too stupid to know when it's snowing out. Because your mother felt inferior. This is all your mother's inferiority. All of it. Coming out. Your father too, to a certain extent. The third thing at play was my mom seizing an opportunity to drive a wedge between me and my dad. Your dad did it on his own. You know what? You're giving your dad too much credit there. Fuck your dad. Okay, he's the one fucking carrying on. Any man who's going to let his wife bitch about him about driving in the snow ain't a fucking man. Especially living where you come from, you drive in the fucking snow in the mountains. That's what you do. Stop giving your father a pass. He's just as responsible. Also, everyone should understand that Ali is already diagnosed from my other letters that although my covert mom instigates these shitstorms, my dad is a very willing participant and never ever forgoes an opportunity to rage and vent his bitterness on his kids, even though he's smart enough to know the difference between reality and shit. Both of them get off on getting all worked up and creating a Greek tragedy out of nothing and then shitting on their own kids. To ease the tension here, I want to let everyone know that I have no contact since the age of 49. Treasure travel. Understand, they're gonna you can't depend on them for anything. I saw this coming. I've lived this story. I don't know how many different episodes with my parents. It's what they do. It's what they do. And they do it because of what you were doing, something scientific in graduate school. They were losing control. And as a way to make them feel superior, make you feel inferior, and to make you think, even though you're going to graduate school, you're too dumb to know when it's snowing. It's their inferiority. Inferiority drives the narcissists. Inferiority drives the narcissist's need to plot against you. And that's what this was, a plot against you. At your most vulnerable time, to think you're trapped, to panic you out. I've lived this I don't know how many times under how many different incidents with my family. So I get where it's coming from. So, hope that helps. Thank you again for another contribution and another story, Treasure Travel. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.